You booked an international flight or you're planning to. We have important details tonight on what you'll be required to do pre and post boarding. Our travel expert James Wilkinson is across the details for us. James, good evening to you. So travellers will need their passports and what else in order to head overseas on the Flying Kangaroo?
Michael, good to see you as well. Qantas announcing what you need to do, and it's going to be a test before departure out of Australia, and then a test before you come back into Australia as well, alongside two more tests within that 7 days of quarantine. So quite a lot to go through, Michael. When we do start opening our borders, we do know that to go to the US, you just need a negative test before departure. So obviously the Australian government adding that extra level in, obviously in that 7 days quarantine, which Alan Joyce has flagged, he hopes is only a temporary measure.
And James, some interesting, although I guess unsurprising comments from the boss, Alan Joyce, on the future of home quarantine. What's his version of it? What would he like to see?
He's saying he'd like to see it, Michael, move to 3 days, which does sound very sensible, and then scrapped altogether. I think we will see at a point in the future where it is a test on arrival and simply a negative result would allow you to go back into the community. So I think the 7 days, initially, like we're saying, is good for returning Australians. It's good for the market that is visiting family and friends, which will be huge over November, December and January. But for business travel, Michael, it's not going to work having 7 day quarantines. People aren't going to go on business trips. That's such a crucial part of the market that needs to rebuild fast.
Yeah. Now, we spoke to you just after Qantas scheduled its first international flight. We understand they've sold like hotcakes since. What's been done to keep up with that demand?
Michael, it's been an exciting time for Qantas in terms of there is that the demand has been there, hasn't it, for people wanting to go and see each other. So obviously moving those flights through to mid-November has allowed them to London and LA, I should say, out of Sydney, has enabled them to put a whole lot more flights on. So we'll see how fast that they can ramp that up even quicker. We know other international airlines are starting to ramp up their schedules and offer more seats. So hopefully we will see a lot of movement there from Qantas, and there is such high demand for it.
Despite, James, an eye-watering profit drop, the airline's going to spend big on a revamped fleet, we understand.
They are, Michael. It reminds me of the old Qantas ads in the early 2000s when they said, new wings for the 737s. That was the arrival of the 800. We're seeing that. That's now 20 years ago, Michael. So I think those planes do need a refresh. We've seen A380s have, been retired less than 10 years. So, 100 aircraft, they're looking at getting either the new 737 Maxes, the A320 series Neos, and then replacing those old 717s that we know that do a lot of hops up to Queensland and down to Canberra and through Adelaide as well. So they're looking at either the Airbus A220, which is a beautiful airplane, and or the Embraer. So look, it's an exciting time for Qantas to rebuild the fleet, and a very modern fleet over the next 10 years to about 2034 they're saying.
You wouldn't think about that they'd be doing this after the year they've been through, or 2 years they've been through, but there you go. All right, James Wilkinson, thank you.